Hi there, and welcome to episode 103 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I've packed on enough mass to clearly be the Mac in this gang, and I'm joined by, and you can decide who's who, the Dennis and the Charlie in this gang. So, Dennis, hi.
You've absolutely thrown me by changing the script right at the start.
Yep.
Well, I'm just going to carry on with what I wrote, which was 19th century man-child. That's a strange thing to call me.
Perfect.
That's
Charlie,
what he called me in the script this morning, Sam, and deleted it.
At the last minute. And Charlie, hi.
Hi.
Notice how you Charlie and not D. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely baffling start to the episode, James. Thank you. A reminder that we started this extra special Thursday podcast because that's all I've got. I've got nothing.
Amazing.
Let's be honest. James makes us do this one for metric reasons. I haven't got time for it. I'm exhausted. James hasn't got time either, really. But it's doing this podcast for its self-analysis of his choices. Sam's here as well, but
Yeah,
Perfect. Anyway, the supermarket checkout queue that always includes at least one person who picked up a box of fucking broken eggs of a podcast is also a tragedy in 3 parts. We'll discuss how the week between podcasts has been from our perspective as people with ADHD and people in the ADHD community, as well as answering questions from that community and talking a little bit more about this week's podcast theme. So, as always, I'll ask you how your week was and nobody will ask me. Sam, how was your week?
good. Work's really, really busy. It's mental, but mostly because I had a couple of days off to go to Ibiza with you for your birthday, and then I came back and I had a whole day of brainstorming. You can't call it that anymore, and team building when I got back. So I've got loads to catch up on, but it's really good. I really loved. I'm connecting with people at work. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm getting my coaching training back on track, which is really good. I went along to a menopause networking session yesterday, which was so good. And it was just so good to speak to people with the same kind of things going on as me. But I talked openly about my ADHD.
How was it?
Just like it was normal. And
Did
it
they
was
kick you
just
out?
it was just really supportive. It was just really accepted. And there was one woman that was saying, "Oh, that's interesting because I do this," and I'm just going, "Okay, yeah, maybe you want to have a look at our website." And she's going, "Yeah, I think I've got a friend that's got ADHD," and I'm going, "Maybe you should look at it as well."
Yeah.
But didn't want to say, obviously. But it was really supportive, and the team building brainstorming day was brilliant as well. And I connected with.
No, you can't call it because the ADHD people don't like it, Sam.
Don't like it, yeah.
They don't like it.
But yeah, I was completely exhausted afterwards because being around lots of people completely drains me. But I really love spending time with people because I work on my own basically, and occasionally I'll have a Zoom call with somebody. So it was really nice being in the same thing, and we did a whole puzzle thing that we had to do, and our team won. I love puzzles, so it was all really positive. And in Ibiza, we just did what we wanted to do and went to. Am I talking too much?
No.
I
mean, you are.
I mean, no.
Yeah, we had a really good time, and just when we were tired, we went to bed, which is really and connected with people over there that we haven't connected with before either. Like Sarah, who's a fan of the podcast. We met her. That was really nice. And I had not really spoken at length to Liviana before, and that was lovely. I had a lovely conversation with her. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on and on.
We know.
James.
No. You've done it again.
Shit, yeah.
But it's good. No, but that's now the running joke. Nobody will ask.
The running joke is that
James
thinks nobody asks him, and you ask him every single fucking time.
Anyway, thank you, Sam. So as Sam alluded to, it was my 351st birthday at the weekend, and we went to Ibiza for the opening of our favourite hotel. Thank you. My favourite hotel. Our favourite hotel.
Well, it was a crypt, but call it a hotel if you like.
Yes, exactly. And parts of it were wonderful. Sam, for my birthday, part of my birthday present, printed out 100 pages worth of messages, which actually I thought were for the charity, but they were all for me. Messages all for me about how, not for you, Alex, or messages that mentioned me about opening up about dad or opening up about my mental health, about how it had helped them. And that it was wonderful to read the first few pages. I obviously haven't read the rest because I've got ADHD. We got our nom, Alex. Obviously, we got the nomination, which was just which was amazing. We've subsequently worked out there's no fucking chance we're going to win it for reasons that might be
that's
political.
fine.
Exactly, it's fine. It's just nice to be
and we're
nominated.
so happy to be nom-nommed.
But
I love being nom-nommed.
But the thing I want to really briefly talk about, and I was about to say something really fucking serious, you bastards.
Sorry.
The thing I wanted to talk about, and it's difficult too, and I'm not going to name names, it is when we were in Ibiza for my 351st birthday, we'd booked on my birthday a restaurant. We booked my friend a restaurant, Lee, Kate, who owns Que Pasa in Caladabu in Ibiza. If you get a chance to go, best food in Ibiza. Lee's got ADHD and he's helping me set up ADHD in Ibiza because I haven't got enough projects to work on.
No.
And we booked a table.
Hobby.
Exactly. We booked a table for 15 people, and then on the day, 11 of those 15 people said, "Yeah, I can't make it. Sorry." Including people who are genuinely I love and are very close friends to me. And I get it when you're in Ibiza and you're partying, etc. Or you sat around a pool, it's difficult to maybe leave that, but it's a bit hard. And it's brought up for the first time for me, that question of ADHD and friendship, which lots of people write in and talk about, because I've never really considered, does it impact my friendship? Have my actions in the past, led to this? And my immediate response was incredibly calm, was just, okay, that's fine. But since then, I've started to struggle with that fact. The people that I love and I think that love me, couldn't leave a pool to come to a hotel. So it's kind of been a weird one. I also impulsively bought a car. So I've now got to pay for that and sell my car, which is a bit shit. So Alex, has your week been?
Yeah, really, really interesting. Good. I mean, good. I tend to have good weeks because, I'm in a place of peaceful wildness, as you know, James. And, and that, again, is privileged because growing up working class, I don't struggle financially. And for a lot of people because of the cosy live crisis, they struggle and I don't. But I think the peaceful wildness, are you letting cosy live go?
No, I was just looking at some. I'm sorry, it's the cost of living crisis. And he's obviously come up with a phrase. He's thought about a phrase deliberately to wind down.
That is what happened. No, I'm not. But yeah, I acknowledge in privilege. I'm lucky to have peaceful wildness. But what I've been really working on is the negative lens that I have, really quite badly. And since we did the catastrophizing episode, which I've said before, hit me hard.
Ding.
I wish it did.
But I realized how much I was still doing, and it's really, really damaging. My wife isn't a telly-offy kind of person, obviously, because she's married to me. But I mean, I would say in 15 years and 2 kids, she has never told me off. Never. Right. I know. And yet...
And you need telling off.
Oh, I mean, a lot. Or at the very least, like restraining. And I still have imaginary conversations every day about how I will defend myself from what she's going to say. About all sorts of weird shit. Like if I spent too much on something like meat as food or something, and I don't understand why my brain does it to me. It's a little shit. Well, I do. I know exactly why it does, obviously, but I don't like it. And I've been working really hard on that. And it helps if you can do it too. The other thing, and I really hate this, but I'm massively externally validated. I get a lot of energy from externally, and a lot of people with ADHD do. I'm not talking about groups. I also am an extrovert, so I do. But I mean, I'm not very good at doing things just for myself, like a lot of us. And because you two actually took a fucking holiday for yourselves and did it the right way for yourselves, it has increased my mood by 50%. Honestly, I've been so much more peaceful knowing that you were in a more peaceful place because I work with you all the time.
Not just because we were away and you didn't have to speak to us.
I thought
I did. I told you every day, didn't I?
That's very true. That is very true.
Yeah, no, it makes a massive difference to me that the people I care about actually fucking look after themselves for once in their idiot lives. No offense. So yeah, really good week of a little bit of self-discovery. And I'm working with Jack a bit more as well, who I really enjoy talking
Friend
to.
of the show, Jack.
Yeah.
The Toblerone man.
What am I
Is that a
supposed to be
ding?
doing?
I don't know what that is.
No. It's just somebody got he's the tolerable rogue on Instagram, and somebody thought it was the Toblerone, the Toblerone guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that is brilliant.
There we go. I am following the right person, aren't I? The Toblerone man, and I'm going.
That is so ADHD and or dyslexia. It's beautiful.
It
I
is
do that all the time. That's brilliant. Texting in that.
Next bit's in blue, Hal.
He already knows.
Yeah, but there's always enough of a pause. I think, is he paying attention? Obviously,
and I do it just to annoy you.
I know,
you like
I
it, right?
know.
As always, what stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you were supposed to be doing, or answer a completely different question? James.
Obviously, when we were spending time at the lovely Cape, we're not in the pocket of big Cape Asa in Caladabu in Ibiza, but when we were at the restaurant having a genuinely lovely time with a smaller group of people, I obviously impulsively agreed to set up a website for them. So, ordered the domain name, started getting the website, started asking them to send stuff through, because again, not enough projects, not enough things to do.
Happen?
It just happened, and that means that listen, I fucking love Lee, and I love everyone at that restaurant, and I love the fact that I can help somebody because I can set up a website. But again, just impulsively saying, "Yeah, that'll be done before the end of the week." is what I've been doing when we're meant to be writing a book and we're meant to be doing other stuff, etc. So yeah, what about you, Samantha?
Oh, I've done loads of shitty things. Forgot loads of things this week. I think. I left my key. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I ordered a load of cakes with James's face on, and some with Lorraine's face on as well, because it was her birthday as well. For James's birthday, and every year I take a load of cakes over, and he forgets that I do the same thing every year, and decorations and everything. But I'd ordered the cakes to come a week too late. So as I was packing, I was like, hang on, the cakes haven't arrived yet, and then checked, and they arrived yesterday.
Ooh.
So we were eating.
You got a load of cake?
So we got a load of cakes, yeah. I put the wrong reg in for the airport parking. I put my old car in, which I'd sold ages. In fact, it's been scrapped ages ago, but for some reason my brain decided that was the reg. So obviously, yeah, that was a bit difficult. When I went to Pole, I left my keys in the car and came back and couldn't find them anywhere, and then realised that the car was open and the keys were just inside the car. I've left my favourite coat somewhere. I don't know where. Somewhere in Ibiza, I think. And I'm going to stop now because there's loads more. But I've been doing loads of stuff that... Oh, no, I haven't answered the question as usual, have I?
No.
ADHD stuff. Yeah, you got the date wrong on the cakes, and you got the. That's all quite inattentive. Making careless mistakes is diagnostic point one of the inattentive.
It's not a question, though, is it?
It is, but it's
what
no.
About,
it's not a question.
You, Alex.
Still on woodpeckers, obviously. I was quite surprised by that. I thought that would have died by now. But a climbing frame in the garden for the kids, which I'm going to be using because it's high. I can see bird spotting. I've cemented it in and everything. Yeah, it's got it's got slide and a little hat on it.
Has it got monkey bars?
I haven't put them up yet, but I'm going to do that. It's got a little climbing wall, and I've also sort of accidentally started a new business because I needed a hobby with what's his name? James, with James.
Yes.
And where we want to do psychoeducation, not just us, but help other people do online psychoeducation, working with our friend William. I've been practicing seed talks, but somebody said, James, to me this week, so being a psychopath, I bloody love awkwardness. Sam, someone that I was chatting to, a friend, said, oh, and it's wonderful you do those seed talks and you must make a lot of money for the charity. Oh no, actually that's our company. We get that, we spend that on sweets. So I felt, that was really awkward. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So that's what I've been doing. Woodpeckers until I get bored with that.
Amazing.
Okay, thank you for that, both. We're going to take a break now, and we'll be back in part 2 with questions and thoughts from the adult ADHD community, ADHD Adult community, UK community. Oh, someone's doing so well.
Flawless.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Welcome back to part 3 of episode 103 of
Part
the
2.
ADHD.
Part 2, yeah.
Flawless. As always, we're taking questions from the James Discard community. Pick up everybody from the ADHD Adults, but you can always talk to us on Instagrams and the Twitters while it still exists. Straight into it. First question from the G-Man on Discard. Is red button disorder an ADHD thing? So when I first read this, I panicked because I feel like I have to know everything. And then he wrote, basically just made that up. But is the compulsion to press a red button, even though you shouldn't, an ADHD thing? So I was pleased with that. Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. We're impulsive and we want to do things that we're not supposed to do. Ding. James?
Well, technically, yeah. If you look at impulsiveness, and if you look at inhibition, is a big part of ADHD in terms of our psychology. So the brain, somebody with ADHD can struggle to inhibit distractions from our attention. So in a lack of inhibition or internal brakes can affect our attentiveness, but equally, a lack of inhibition can affect our actions. And there are a couple of ways you can test this, but we know that both kind of proactive inhibition or future inhibition and also reactive inhibition, so reacting to something that happens, is difficult for us. Even if somebody says there's a red button in that room next door, don't press it, and you know when you go into the room there's a red button, we might struggle to control the urge to press it. And equally, if you walk into a room not knowing there's a red button and you see a red button again, we might lack the inhibition to not press that red button. So I think this, if it is a thing, is probably tied into that lack of inhibition and impulsivity. But Alex will probably disagree with me.
I do. I'm going to say no. Caveat that with, I could imagine that maybe on average we're more likely to. But you know the risk problem in ADHD, as James always points out, and his little talks he does, that we aren't always taking risks, people with ADHD, we're less able to measure risk properly. So, and because of the impulsiveness, we might do things that we know are stupid, but as somebody who is at the very extreme risk-averse end, as James knows, all of the best things that have ever happened to me is because James risked it and I just tagged along like a pathetic little lamb because I don't. And the things I've said, James, we are not doing that. And James has gone, I'm doing it anyway.
I can remember once asking Alex if spending £12 a month of my money so that the charity could use the Google Workspace thing. And he said, oh, I don't know about this. We need to look into it. My money.
I know. And I do know where it comes from. It's because I don't measure risk properly. And I do have a tendency to take even growing up, I did really, really stupid things because I didn't know that I didn't measure the risk. So I think I've sort of trained myself to always just immediately say no, a bit oppositional defiance. So I do not press red buttons. I don't do stuff like that. And I'm a bit of a psychopath, so I don't care. It's not my button. It's not my drowning person.
But then that would make me press it.
Yeah, I know. And what I'm saying is, I think that's personality more than ADHD.
Okay.
Maybe, except for what James said about the impulsivity. So I suspect on average we're more likely to, but it's certainly not a universal factor because problems of ADHD aren't that we always take risks.
It's not universal.
That we don't measure risks properly. That was my brilliant question. James, have you got one for us?
I have. Yeah. Question 2 is from Lifu on Discard. Yeah, it says, hello, I broke my ankle and stuck at home to recover, finding it a challenge to figure out how to manage, work, where I should stay, etc. And basically just delaying all decisions until next week. My question, though, is about the Ritalin or methylphenidate. I'm not really doing anything. Do I still take it? I can't ask the psychiatrist because I've got no way to contact her, and my GP is slammed like every doctor everywhere. Any ideas? Thanks. So Alex, continue taking Ritalin when you've got kind of nothing to do, but you're at home?
It's a really great question. It took me quite a while to realize that I mainly take my meds. So I take them almost every day. I used to think, I've got a weekend off with the family, I won't take them. And that was the stupidest thing I ever did, because then I ruined my, I got really distracted. I got domestic anxiety. I'd get drunk. I'd hit I didn't. But I was, when I was using substances, I'd need them more. So actually, I find I need them more when I haven't got tasks to plan my days. If I want to take a medication holiday, I'll do it on a really full work day. When I'm working with you two, absolute nightmares, because it's always high energy. I get a lot of reward from our conversations and what we do together. Ding. And vomits. And so, it's a personal decision. Absolutely personal decision. Be aware that side effects can restart up again if you take a medication holiday. I tend not to advise anybody take one unless they really know a lot about medicine or talk to their mental health team first. But I find that I need them more when I haven't got tasks, not less. Sam?
Yeah, and I've spoken about this every time I've taken a break from and it's not Ritalin I'm on, it's lisdexamfetamine. But every time I've taken a break, it's really not worked out well for me, because I forget as well that for me, the Lisdex doesn't just help me focus, it helps my mood. So my mood can take a bit of a nosedive if I'm off meds for too long. But then also starting back up again, I have to remember that I've got to do it gradually, because I tick like a motherfucker if I just go straight back up to 70 milligrams. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Sam, and I know that you don't necessarily, there's no way to know exactly, but how do you feel about the idea that your mood might be improved because you're feeling better about yourself because you can do the tasks, rather than it being a direct mood stabilizer?
That's possible.
Because it seems to have both factors involved in it. Some people don't find it helps with anxiety, depression. Some people do. But it does have a serotonin thing, which is, a bit...
It was the first thing I noticed. Obviously, nobody's asked me yet, I don't think. But it was the first thing I noticed when I started taking Lisdex was mood and motivation. So I wasn't doing more in terms of engagement in tasks, but I kind of wanted to, and I was happier.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's the same for Ritalin. But,
no, it doesn't increase serotonin, does it, Al?
No, it doesn't. But there are dopaminergic and adrenaline reasons for low mood, such as feeling shit about yourself because you can't finish a task. But
you're right. Having nothing to do is the worst time.
Oh, it is. It's awful.
Like, that's when you need meds, isn't it? When you've got fuck all to do.
It is, yeah. So I would keep going leaf hour if the side effects aren't too bad for you. I really would.
Okay, I've got a question. Oh, James.
You could. I mean, you could ask.
Yes,
you could ask me. Jesus Christ. This is a really important question that we get asked a lot about at the talks and on the podcast. Is, should I take it every day? Should I take a medication holiday? Should I not take it at weekends? And because we're an evidence-based organization, there's really fuck all evidence about the efficacy, the safety, etc., of taking medication holidays. What we know is the long-term adherence to medication isn't great. So after 5 years, the vast majority of people stop taking medication. This might be because the stimulants actually cause, on a microanatomical scale, the brain to be rewired. And that improvement, and that improvement in brain function might mean you don't need meds after 5 years. It might be that actually you can cope better and you don't have those deficits, or it could be that you forget to take them, disengage, etc. But in terms of medication holidays, such as you're at home, you're not got to do work, and therefore, should I take a break? It's a personal thing. I do take some medication holidays at Christmas because I want to eat loads of food, because obviously speed stops me from eating so much.
You lucky bugger.
I know, but generally I take it, other than that, every day, including weekends. It's a personal choice, but as Sam said, it's important to acknowledge that if you do stop, A, re-engaging in a task, even taking medication, can be difficult, and B, it's often at the start of retaking meds that side effects tend to happen. So try and almost like retitrate yourself in or start at a lower dose. Thanks for asking, Sam.
The time I was meant to ask, I didn't. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Right, I've got a question apparently.
Mhm.
Oh, it's written to me.
Unbelievable.
Oh, I remember this one. James has put the questions in. He's been doing this a little bit, actually. Dear Sam, I discovered your podcast last year when I was diagnosed at age 53. I'm now aware that my entire family, from parents and siblings right down to my adult children, are ADHD.
Amazing.
What?
Like down to my children. I really like that. Just as an afterthought.
Okay. Although we all manifest differently, it's clear we're all emotionally immature. I believe that emotional intelligence is the key to a well-lived life. And I think that ADHD may make us more emotionally immature. After watching and listening to James and Alex for nearly 100 episodes, it's clear that they've got the combined emotional IQ of a toddler, in spite of their obvious intelligence. As it's very obvious that you're the only one who has any, I'm writing to you in hopes that you can address this issue. Yes, you can use my name, as I am most likely your only US listener. Thanks for your time, Michelle. Thanks, Michelle.
Amazing.
That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Does ADHD make us more emotionally immature?
It's
James.
a good question.
There is some evidence. There actually is some evidence. And again, remember that science is about, on average, you take a big group of people, you measure something and you look at what the mean or the average is. There is some evidence, not from great studies, not massive, that emotional intelligence, good one. Emotional intelligence may be reduced in some people with ADHD, but that doesn't mean we all have reduced emotional intelligence. Al?
And does it differ between sexes?
I am not aware of that because this was not a deep dive into the material. This was really quickly looking because I put that question and thought I'd better answer.
But probably not, actually, because remember that a big part of what ADHD is a delayed onset of brain maturity. And even when it is mature, it still hasn't wired properly together. So that's why we have it forever. So it's almost certainly not there isn't a gender difference here, almost certainly. I would add a really important caveat, and that is immaturity and intelligence are not opposites. I like being immature. I think I have a certain level of emotional intelligence, certainly cognitive intelligence. I understand about emotions rather than, feel any. But I'm also pretty fucking childlike with them. But I think that's all right. I don't think that that's necessarily a problem.
Yeah,
when
but everybody else does, Alex.
No, of course not. No. James is about to say your victims certainly don't. I'm fairly certain of it.
I can now, yeah.
It's a really good question, Michelle. Thank you. And so meanly put as well, which I also like. Combined as well. Combined emotional intelligence of a toddler.
Did you answer this, Sam? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really understand emotional intelligence, to be honest.
Is that because you've got too much empathy?
Is that what emotional intelligence is? What I'm saying is I don't know what emotional intelligence is.
Yeah, there's different types. That's why we're back to metacognition here again. So it's about understanding what emotions are and how they act, how they affect us, and how they affect other people. So it's a combination of the two different types of empathy, like knowing what people feel and feeling what people feel, but also sort of the academic side of what emotions are and how they affect everybody, including ourselves. So it's a really, really good question.
Oh, yeah. Do you think maybe because we feel we have emotional dysregulation and RSD, do you think we're more aware that other people might have those issues?
That is such a good question. I think I am.
Oh, Sam, you're giving. Oh, Sam, your questions are great. Oh, Sam, that's such a good question. Listen to the Sam and Alex loving podcast.
The superpower thing. I'm just ignoring him, Sam, because he had his little Ibiza holiday, and now he's all full of spunk.
Is it Goofies or Mickey Mouses?
No, but I think if you struggle with something yourself, I think it makes you more aware of that in other people. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this is why the controversy of the superpower ADHD isn't sometimes wrong, is because it is an advantage growing up and thinking about ADHD, but it isn't a biological one, is it? It's the muscly arms because you use a wheelchair kind of advantage. And I think,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Shut up, Alex.
Right, that's enough, Al. Let's take a break and we'll be back in part 3 with thoughts on this week's theme and podcast.
Okay.
Spunk trumpet. For God's sake, Alex. Welcome back to episode 103 of the ADHD Adults podcast, part 3.
103.
Famous darts call, obviously, where we asked the same couple of questions. So first of all, what made you choose the last idea for a theme? I'm going to ask myself that question first because I chose the theme by mistake. When we had the documentary crew come in and film us, they said, we'd like to film you doing a podcast. And we got Alex obviously involved. But they actually wanted us to film us doing a podcast. So we had to have a script. And I thought, fucking hell. So in 5 minutes, I rushed upstairs and typed out the psychoeducation bit or part of the psychoeducation bit. And then I thought, actually, this is a really fucking good subject. We need to talk about this. So that's my reason.
Yeah. And we
Alex?
just did it because you wrote the script.
Yeah, I wanted to do the psychedelics one because it's going to be really interesting and controversial. What about you, Sam?
We're all getting bored of this now, aren't we?
Yeah.
I
was
have
born
no
ages ago.
editorial rights in this podcast. I don't choose what we do. I don't choose anything. I barely look at the script. Was there any thought or tip from the theme that you forgot to say, Alex?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, good.
So despite what Borat's slightly weird brother always says, if you know your famous psychologists, I don't think that there is a major difference. I mean, it's not like an opinion. My scientific opinion is that I don't think that there is a significant biological difference between females and males in terms of their brain, well, actually, and body, apart from reproductive and sexual preference. I think that the differences that are very evident in men and women, in adults, come from the constant cultural and social pressure and changes that happen to our brains, then the sort of senescence and pruning that happens to our brains. I think we're very, very similar. I have been criticized for that in the past, like I'm trying to be wokey or, politically correct, but that's not true. It's based on fMRIs and some of the brilliant work from professors like Gina Rippon and other people. They seem to be the same, and then they change because we force them to change culturally. And that means that most of these differences we see in men and women, we've accidentally forced on ourselves. So I would really like it if we could start to be a bit less gendered, really early in our lives. And I've noticed the words I use with my daughters are different to the ones I use with my sons, because I'm a fucking victim of my own culture, right? Oh, there's me lovely sweetie darling. And I did that a bit with the boys, but less so, I think, less princessy. So that's the thing, is I think a lot of it is cultural. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, thinking about that, I was a real tomboy growing up. All my mates were lads, and we used to go and build dens. My mum would dress me up in like knee-high socks and a dress, and I'd just come back covered in shit and nettle stings.
Not a shell suit.
And a shell suit, yeah.
I had a shell suit as well.
Yeah, well, I had a date, you see, so my birthday shell suit, my mum let me have it earlier so I could go on a date.
Did you have a Garfield t-shirt at the same time?
No. But one thing I'd say is, you were saying that, there's not a lot of difference between us. The one difference I would say is hormones. Hormones affect ADHD massively, like wildly. So when you are going through adolescence, when you're menstruating, my whole cycle massively affects my ADHD. And like I've said before, I forget that every single month. And it has, what were you going to say, James?
First of all, I was going to say no shit. And then I was also going to say, when he said I forget it, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so bear that. So one difference that we do have to look out for is hormones. When I was saying before that everything goes to shit in perimenopause, it does. But also pregnancy, I'd imagine. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
No, definitely.
Yeah, so I think any fluctuation in hormones is going to have a massive effect on your ADHD. And I don't think men's hormones fluctuate as much. I know there's a gradual decline, but not.
Pause,
I've just been accurately psychosocial biologied corrected
by Mrs
by
ADHD.
fucking Mrs ADHD.
Amazing.
That'll never happen again, will it?
Amazing. Amazing.
What about you, James?
So I was thinking, actually, in between episodes, in the 12 seconds we had in between recording episodes, I thought a lot about this. And I think it's really important to point out that life is not a zero-sum game. Life is not like a piece of cake, and if you get less, someone else gets more. So women struggle enough, and I've talked about this. Men stand up for them. Men stand up for other men, because you don't lose out by standing up for them. If someone else gets support, you don't get less support. And I think sometimes people maybe don't realize that it's, you're not diminishing your experience or support or social standing by standing up for other people. So let's help each other out.
That's true. And the other way round as well. Women are really good at supporting each other. We need to support men too, because they're shit. They're really shit.
Yeah. Really
Alex.
Terrible. I just wondered whether men standing up for the men is a ding, and I wasn't sure whether.
I think it is.
You can have it.
I think it is. You can have that one, Alex. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Right. That was. Oh, no. Before I say that, I'm just going to say this thing. If you are a man or anybody else and you can't openly speak about this, talk privately. And if you haven't got someone, talk privately to us. Just say, can I just suggest something? You don't have to announce it. You don't have to come out as ADHD. You can just nudge us a little bit and we will ask you what's going on. And we'll tell you all sorts of shit about our lives, because I don't regret anything I've said about my ADHD to anyone. I don't know if either of you two do.
No,
I can't remember anything I've said.
No, indeed. So please do. That's what we're here for. That was episode 103 of the ADHD Adults. And it was the first ever Thursday extra edition of the ADHD Adults podcast after the 102nd one. And it was after Monday's one on ADHD and men and women. If you like this sort of nonsense, probably you don't, and want to get involved, contact us on the socials. Discord's a great place to meet. At the ADHD Adults, though, on Twitter and Instagram as well. Have a really lovely weekend. Goodbyes.
Bye.
Bye.
Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning, klaxon, 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 klaxon. Trigger warning, klaxon, klaxon, klaxon.